Good morning, Cowboy Jim. How you doing? Well, you can't answer. Well, you can. I won't hear you. Well, one more bad hair day, it seems. You know, I I have learned more in life by observation, and my I guess my focal point nowadays is looking for another job. Oh well, that'll come. This too shall pass. And in the process of time, I study everything. I I am so attentive to so much that sometimes the input that I end up putting into this skull capacity. Darwin, I don't know what he'd say about me. I know he said black people would never be good athletes because they didn't have the skull capacity to develop a brain through evolution that would allow them to be good athletes. Oh, gee. Oh, he's my. Well, actually, he is one of my heroes. Charles Darwin. Oh boy, that man's taught. Hey, how many years since he was down there, whatever islands on the southeast corner of South America? Pretty bad waters down there during a storm, I'm told. I haven't seen that. I don't want to see it. Oh, I'd like to go back to Ireland again, and well, definitely over to Scotland, and of course, well, yeah, I'd probably have to have a glass of single malt. There's no doubt. Then, dear Lord, who would know where this old Irishman would end up, and with whom? Anyways. Well, it's good to know Darwin was right about the Chinese, Asian type people not being very good at business because, in his opinion, they were too short. Oh, so much for the word delusional. I study my YouTube stuff. Well, I'm kind of bored here, actually. I mean, I can cook, but I don't really like eating. And I'm starting to exercise again. I tell you, if I can get a little medical help in the sore shoulder area, I do that. And I am doing that, actually. Not as we speak. Working through the system, children. You know, YouTube is a wonderful reflection of where we as a people are. I'm not saying that everybody watches and or uses and or posts YouTube, Facebook. I actually got my Death by Chocolate on Facebook the other day. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, my. Yeah. Gonna ruin the general health condition of the average Canadian, and quite possibly it'll go a little further than that. I hope it does. Jeez. I don't know. I suppose I could. I'm just getting some Kleenex facsimile. Oh, gee, that sounds better. When I put Death by Chocolate on 3 hours, I had, I think, 20 views. Well, it was at the right time. It was supper. It was death by chocolate. If you're having supper and you're not careful, you'll probably want to have some dessert. And I don't blame you. I mean, good Lord. I mean, we were designed to take food in. It represents the word energy, and you need that physically, mentally, and in order to accomplish the purpose that we have for the day. Well, sometimes we don't even know what our own purpose is, and but I'll tell you this: our boat fell right over. 24 hours later, I think we have had 57 views on a recipe. Well, it's my interpretation of that recipe, and I think it was my elder sister that first told me about Death by Chocolate, and I thought that's a title, and I've realized a few things. One, you have to, it's like real estate, selling a house or some such thing. You have to stop people as they're driving by, not physically stop them, but your presentation. Not of yourself necessarily. I mean, let's get real. I've befriended a lot of people on the street, and I don't recall a single one of them looking quite as bad as I do. Oh, maybe one. Death by Chocolate. When people are scanning my YouTube stuff, so many hits. I've had the privilege of siring and then loving and then teaching and nurturing 2 sons. If you ever met my sons, trust me, you wouldn't think there had been much, shall we use the word, nurturing going on. I taught my boys everything I knew how to do, and I watched them take everything that I taught them and take it so much further than I ever had myself. And I taught my boys how to cook. If you were to occasion to see where they're at in their talent as, I would like to say ranch style cookery. Well, I hope that's the right word. And because they left me so far behind. I still have a few good ones up my sleeve because I enjoy eating. I just don't like the feeling of being really, really so uncomfortable from eating that there's nothing in this world that I would want to do more than live in the regret that I ate too much. I almost told you again about that young man. He came on the company radio and he said, yeah. Shania Twain comes on the radio and all you want to do is have a beer. Sit on the back deck. listen to the tune. I said, son, if you can listen to Shania Twain, one of the most beautiful women in the world, not the most beautiful woman in the world, but pretty awful close. And think about having a beer. I said, son, the word that you need to remember is testosterone. You ought to get yourself some of that stuff. Let me tell you, that works, eh? Oh yeah, that works. Anyways, tried my best to convince my eldest son that he should have a YouTube cooking show. I tell you, that boy can cook. Well, so too the younger one. Unbelievable. I guess for me, the key issue is this. I read a few. I did 3 small videos within the reasonable time frame that they should be, and I read scripture. Scripture is very much like a recipe, and people have to. Well, they don't have to do anything, but people can consider scripture to be a recipe of how to live and good information, understanding the ingredients of life. Well, so too a recipe. A recipe is a reflection of where you as an individual want to end up eating. Let's not kid ourselves. The greatest joy that a person who cooks can have is not in the eating of that which they make, but it is in watching the expression of people for whom you have cooked. And that therein is the joy. Oh, it's not in the feeling of fullness, that you've eaten half again more than you should have. But I don't mean that. That's uncomfortable. But in the joy of watching people truly take pleasure in the consumption of food, which leads to a relational position in place where people can look at each other and forget quite a lot of the things that they disagree with the other person about and over, and can share in the joy of consuming food and the resultant good feeling. It is a good feeling. I guess I only have about 10 or 20 recipes that really turned my crank, as it were. And I have learned to cook, and I probably should more often taste that which I'm cooking to ascertain if what I know in my heart, my soul, my spirit, my mind, that I choose to put into a recipe. And dear Lord, children, I don't ever follow a recipe. Well, it's the same as my Bible. I read it. I get a general direction. I walk in it. Door is open. I walk through it. The door is not open. I don't go through it. Because there's a reason. I want help in the living of my life to be at a little higher intellectual understanding of wisdom, purity, greatness. And so I'm very careful when I read a recipe or read my Bible. I note very seriously and study my YouTube stuff. And the reason for that is this is an avenue, this is a medium of unbelievable proportion. It is an opportunity for a person to take an understanding that they assume, sometimes presume, to have, not as though the person is the definitive answer for all things. No, but can just place that before a people. Now, I only have about 523 or so subscribers, but it wasn't 4 months ago when I only had 4. And it was that my presentation of what I wanted to put before the people, it was impeded in that it was too long. It was too laborious. It was boring. Okay? I kind of look at myself and I say, oh, dear God, don't let me ever be considered to be boring, be terrible. I told my son, I said, listen, eldest, youngest could do the same thing. I said, you run the highway, you drive hard, you drive long, you work. Same way that I taught them how to work, both boys, and they are adept. And it may not appear so, but we are pretty quick learners in my gene pool. And I said, son, you have to consider doing YouTube videos on cooking, because that boy, both boys, but the oldest one in particular, he has a heart for flavor, for taste, spice, barbecue, smoking. Well, he doesn't smoke like as I do, but I mean smoking foods, meats, everything, anything. Makes his own jerky, everything. I said, please consider putting some recipes on YouTube. I said, look at Death by Chocolate. 53 or 57, I don't know how many views. And climbing. In YouTube, in the YouTube world, you need over 1,000 subscriptions, people who are watching, and receiving. To subscribe merely means that when I hit post on this, every subscriber that is on my YouTube channel, Cowboy Jim, will be notified. Hey, that old cowboy, he's not working again. And you might consider watching that sort of thing. And but when you do end up with 1,000, apparently, I don't know, but apparently, and I have been attentive to some people who say they actually can just about make a living from the people who wish to advertise. I listen to 94.5 and 93.3 or whatever, country up here in Fort Mac. And I'll listen to one particular a guy who kind of sounds like I do when I don't know what he does. He must fill his mouth with phlegm or something and tries to talk through his heels. And I'm telling you, he doesn't sound bad, but he does sound false. And you just kind of get the feeling the guy needs Bran, because what he's presenting is a fabrication of what he seems to think is himself. But if you wish to reflect well what you are, then what you'll present is yourself. Not with a voice that is pressured. And as you listen to these advertisements from this whoever he is, you say, well, that's not real. That's not the way he talks to his grandchildren. Shoot, he could be so young as to not have grandchildren yet. He might not even want them. I kind of like mine. There's one lady, and I have had the privilege and the honor of studying her from a distance. A couple of times I spoke with her, 3, 4, 5, not many. And that woman should have her own YouTube physical fitness videos on YouTube. I guarantee you. 12.5 minutes, and the world would probably fall head over heels in love with the lady, well, as I did. And it didn't take me that long, children. And but people don't rise to the understanding that possibly they may have something to say that would encourage people, and thus they don't encourage people, well, at least on YouTube, as much as they could, and as much as the people who are watching need that encouragement. So I'm going to continue to encourage my sons, that bodybuilder that is, well, no one in their right mind could ever believe how physically fit the lady is. I appreciate kindness. I appreciate concern for others, and it's not so much that I want my words to always be complimentary, but I want my words not to injure, and I take a shot at that, not always successfully. So a Saturday morning here in Fort Mac, not too cold, kind of mild today. I was out there enjoying the fresh air and having a cigarette. May wonder how that's possible, but if you work at it is. And I realize this is a day in which we have the privilege of breathing. And we choose to influence our feelings by how we process thought, by how we allow a thought to entertain us. And so, anyways, I'm 4 minutes over. God bless. I will do possibly one, possibly two healthy videos on some of the ranch style cooking that I have learned to do. I have a cousin over in Drayton Valley, and he is a trail cook. He his specialty is cooking anything, but his true specialty is in being himself. There's not a false bone in his body, not a pretentious attitude at all. That man taught his sons how to cook, and he lost one son many years ago, and that scar tissue you can still see in his, both he and his wife's eyes. And I'm not going to infringe on his recipes. I am going to say that in our family, we know how to cook. Well, we also know how to eat. God bless, eh? You have a good day. Don't be afraid to tune in. Thank you. I'll make the next one shorter. God bless.